What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Lambert's Moneymaker, where we talk about pretty much all things real estate, the ins and outs, business, entrepreneurship, how to make it out there. But today we have a special guest with us. Her name is Miss Lauryn Hunnicutt. She's out of Texas, I believe, Dallas area, and she specializes in raising capital. Without further ado, I'm going to bring her up and now we're going to chat it up and see what she's got to offer. If y'all haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, press some notification buttons, and give us some likes. Even if you don't like me, I'm sure you'll like her. So here we go. Lauryn, what's up?
Hey, thanks for having me back on. How are you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we've done this, once or twice?
Yeah, I think this will be our second time. The first time I was in Sweden.
Yeah, Sweden. And I don't even think I was able to get that one uploaded.
Yeah, I think that was, gosh, that might be, we're coming up on almost a year. I think that was July of last year.
Shut up. It was that long?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Where's time gone? This year's already like 2025, like, woo! And it's March.
I know. Well, it's caught up right around the corner. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we all just joined Owners Club and time has flown.
Yeah, Owners Club. Hey, I didn't ask you this a minute ago, but are they making us re-up? It was like,
I don't know if anybody knows right now. I think we're all kind of wondering and chomping at the bit. Because from what he said last year, it was going to be the same spots every year. Like the amount wasn't, how many people were allowed in Owners Club wasn't going to change. It would just be based upon, if you had some people that dropped out.
So people would be allowed to take over the spots that people didn't.
Right. So if I drop out, my spot would then open up for someone else to jump in. But there's not going to be any additional spots, was my understanding.
Okay. We'll see. Yeah.
I don't know.
I was talking to
anything.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody. I'm like, well, if it's anything like, and guys, if just to back up here, we're talking about Owners Club, which is it's like the who's who of sub two with Pace Morby. It's where we've pretty much every one of my guests has come from. Pace Morby sub 2 community. I'm pretty sure there's a link below. It's probably the greatest, not probably, it is the greatest community on the planet. Anything related to real estate. You don't even have to be in real estate to get in there and make some money. I mean, there's so many opportunities. There's so many great people, like Miss Lauryn, for instance. I met her there, and all my other guests. So if you don't know what it is, check it up. Check out Sub 2. Check out Pace Morby. You won't be disappointed, that's for sure. But what we're talking about is Owners Club, which is a kind of like a smaller group of what Pace created, and he wanted to create. Instead of just like high-paid employees, he wanted to create owners of companies, owners of real estate companies, other companies, and whatnot. So that's what we are discussing right now. But to go back to what we were just talking about, I talked to a couple other people now. If Pace is true to what he's done with all of his other communities, which is, you got Gator, you have Sub 2. Is there another one? I don't know if there's another one.
Gator, Sub 2, TC.
TC, I'm not sure about, but.
Yeah, I don't know much. I have a couple friends in TC. Sorry, I have a cardinal that has joined me.
Sounds good. I like it. Yeah, like whenever it first started tweeting, I looked up at my window.
I was sitting in a corner thinking I was going to be in a quiet space, and here he is. But
hey, look, he's joining the show. I love it.
Yeah. The beauties of being an entrepreneur, you can work from anywhere. But yeah, I think it's Gator, TC, Sub 2, Owners Club, and I think that's it as far as the different, sectors of the community.
Yeah, I think you're right. But so to my point is, for Sub 2 and for Gator, I know for a fact they are on paper, they're like 6 month, 12 month, that's it. But once you get in and pay, your lifetime.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if he reigns true like he's been doing with all of his other ones, I would assume that it's going to be the same for Owners Club, at least hopefully, for those that are in it.
Yeah, that would be nice, but I kind of have a feeling it's going to be like I've been talking with a couple other people too, where it's like, is he going to structure it to where the OGs, maybe they have a different price, almost like you get grandfathered in
Yeah,
at a certain price, and then any new people that take over those spots that open up, maybe they get a different price. I don't know. I think
could be.
everybody's kind of wondering right now, because I think he kind of let us think that there's going to be a yearly fee. I just don't know if it's going to be the full price, or because I know he plans on, upping his game every year as far as buying new businesses and letting us be owners of those businesses with him. So I
Right.
think we're all super curious to see how that pans out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious too. So we'll see soon. You'll be in well, you live in Dallas, so you
Yeah, I'll be there for sure. Absolutely.
don't have to go far. How far is it from your house?
40 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. Are you staying at the
Yeah,
hotel
not
or are you
bad at
staying
all.
home?
I'm going to stay at the hotel for the weekend. Me and my boyfriend are going to go up and stay Friday and Saturday, but then during the week, I'll probably just drive up, or maybe even Uber. But I've got dogs and horses, and so for me to do all that for when I'm pretty local, it would make sense
Yeah,
for me to
for
make a
sure.
weekend thing out of it.
I thought
Are
it
you
was a
coming into
Friday,
town?
Saturday. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, right?
I think it starts Thursday. I think it's Thursday because I think the 27th is a Thursday, I believe.
I need to get my room booked. Hopefully they're not booked out.
Yeah, I definitely would, because I think they're getting pretty booked up.
Or I'm be finding
Yeah.
out who's staying by themselves and bunking up with them.
Now you have kids, right? Are you and your wife and your kids coming, or is it
I
just you?
got I got a beautiful wife and two beautiful little trophies. One's 4, and the other one is she'll be 3 in April.
Wow, that's cool. And so
Yeah.
just you, or are you?
They won't be coming. Yeah,
Oh, not coming.
it'll just be me
Yeah.
traveling. They don't usually travel too much. My wife, I mean, it's too hard to travel like with the whole lot of them, and then flying as of late because of all these dang weird plane
Yeah.
crashes. She's like all freaked out about it. We're flying to Louisiana in April for my church, Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, Sunlight Broadcasting. They have every year they have a camp meeting. So
Okay.
it's like I think it's 5 days at Easter. It starts on the Wednesday before Easter, and then it goes on the way through. It's like you got like 2 services a day or something. And we bring the family down there, all the family. Like I'm from Baton Rouge, so
Okay.
we're gonna stay down there. And then it's my 10-year anniversary.
Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations.
so
That's
we're gonna
great.
go. We're gonna leave the kids with mom. Peace.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go to Miami, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of got hooked up in Miami. I have 2 guys down there that one was a business partner and the other one I've been selling properties to for the past 6 months, and he turned them all into Airbnbs, and he's like, bro, don't even trip. You could stay for free at one of my spots. I'm like, right
That's
on.
the
He's
way
like,
to do it.
yeah, me and my wife will take you and your wife out. I'm like, right on. And then my
Yeah, for
other
anybody
little
listening,
there,
that's the relationships they're the most important thing in this game. No matter if you're wholesaling or you're capital raising, the relationships, and it's not just for the benefits, but you end up making a lot of friends that just have a genuine way about them, where they do have the ability to say, hey, just go stay there for the weekend and enjoy yourself.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm super excited to see, because every property that we sold him, he is turning into an Airbnb down there in Miami, and his style, him and his wife's style, is pretty good. So I'm excited to see what he turned them into.
So are they like higher end Airbnb?
I mean, I would say that's what they're gonna like. They're not like super high end, like they're under $1 million,
Okay.
which is not saying much for Miami, but they are nice, and he's making them even nicer. So like the design and decor is going to be like higher end, like luxury, but it's not like super luxe.
Yeah. Now,
So,
are you aware of any of because like I have a midterm here that I ended up, it's actually doing really well. I just was going to test it out as a midterm and see how it did, and it's stayed booked since.
right on.
I think it was on the market for 2 weeks, and it's been booked ever since. And that was 6 months ago. And I really didn't do a whole lot of, like, I posted it on Airbnb and Zillow. And again, just kind of was like, I'll see what it does. I did a little bit of market research, but I had lived in the home at one point, so I didn't purchase it to be a rental. But kind of always had that, thought of like, I don't want to live here forever, so I'll eventually probably turn it into a rental. I just wasn't sure if I wanted to go long-term or midterm. Really didn't want to do any short-term just because I've heard that those tenants can be more of a pain in the butt.
Midterm is definitely better, for sure. Yeah. I have both, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, you own, is it Arizona that you own quite a few in?
No, I wish I did. I actually own them in Baton Rouge, where I'm from.
Baton Rouge, okay.
And Houston.
Okay.
So I have 5 in Baton Rouge. I have 1 in Houston. And you know what? I don't know if I like the Houston market for Airbnb, maybe for midterm, but definitely got to be in a different area than where I'm at. And Dallas would be cool for. I have like pad split in Dallas.
A lot of people seem to be doing pad split here.
Yeah, I kind of want like 4 or 5 more because they do really well.
Yeah, I would definitely take another midterm here in the DFW area. If you come, I know there's some you hold, but if you come across any you want to dispo, let me know.
But yeah, we'll get you on the list. So I mean, that's kind of what we do. Just find out what you're looking for. I mean, we tried a couple of times with you. I think they were just kind of like.
Yeah, whatever. I think it's so here. I feel like you really have to know, and really, I think any city, but you really have to know the neighborhood. Because you can be in a great neighborhood and then make a turn, and you're like, holy crap, where am I at now? Yeah. And it wouldn't work for the rentals that I'm looking for. But now that I've gotten through this business acquisition, I can kind of take on a little bit more as far as doing underwriting on properties, and I have a goal to buy some more this year. So I'll have to make sure to reconnect on that.
Yeah, for sure. Because we were doing real heavy in Dallas, and then we lost MLS access. So now we are. I think we're about to start marketing in Dallas again, but using PropStream. I think a lot of people use PropStream, and it works.
Yeah, I think people use PropStream.
Yeah, we just got spoiled because PropStream, they got a lot of properties that we sold that a month ago, or it's not even on the market. Like, what are you talking about? Or so you got to filter through all that, which is fine, whatever. But so that's why we kind of backed off. We have Houston right now. We have like South Florida, and then Vegas. Vegas is real heavy. Oh, and Southern California.
Now, for Houston and South Florida, are you finding that the insurance is getting in the way of any of that? Like, what's your main focus as far as buyers? Are they people that are buying holding or homestead?
Houston, you have taxes, and then South Florida, you have the insurance.
Yeah. Well, and even Houston, I've found that the insurance can be pretty crazy because of all the flooding.
I get you. Well, yeah. If you don't you can stay out of the flood zone.
Yeah.
Not in the flood zone, it's okay. But taxes, it's brutal, man. But 3%.
It's insane.
You know what I pay in Vegas?
How much?
0.5%.
Wow. Now, does it pick up anywhere else though? Because you know how I feel like it's always a give and take in certain states. Like taxes will be high and insurance is low, or vice versa.
We don't have high insurance because we don't have natural disasters.
Yeah.
There's no earthquakes, there's no fires because we're in the desert. The only thing that they have here is high winds at times. But the high winds is not blowing down your house. You're going to lose a couple of shingles.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you don't really have. It used to be flash flooding. Flash flooding, but it's not really flash flooding like your house or nothing. And you got to be in certain areas. And then now that they do all the development, they have it all, set up properly for drainage and whatnot. So, Vegas in that right is pretty good, pretty cheap.
Now so are you going short term, midterm?
In Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. So, midterm is your safest. your lowest yield outside of LTR. Independent living is really where I have a partner here in town that I've lent money to, and she's been doing independent living. Now, independent living from her definition is like the lowest tiered of assisted living. So it's like 55 plus, people that got like structured income. They don't need anything. They could feed themselves. They could do everything themselves. Some of them, they do offer like other services, but for the most part, some of them have jobs or whatever. But the money is really good because at the lowest end you're getting $800 a bed, and because of the way that they set them up, you could have 2 beds in one room.
Wow.
It's not like pad split where you just got one bed and you're making $800 a month, 1,000 maybe. Now you have 2 beds in a room, and then if you have like somebody that has their own room, some of the rooms that she has are like $2,000 a month. And then on the base, and then she offers like a service where they'll cook your meals for the week, and that's $1,200 a bed minimum. That's your base, right? If you like I said, if you're in a room that has its own private bath, you're paying a lot more. If you're just in a room by yourself, like if that's what then you're going to be paying, like anywhere from 15 to 1,800, 12 to 1,800. So, we recently, I was going to buy a property here in town, fix it up. I was getting it as a good cash deal, fix it up, refinance it, and we were going to make. I think the total income on that was like 14 or 15,000 a month.
Okay.
And net was like $7K a month net.
That's awesome.
One single family, yeah. The deal fell apart because my lender took too long, and then the seller backed out, like literally like days before I got approved. The lender really screwed me up. But anyways, I'm looking. So in Vegas, I'm looking for properties to do that too, either creative or cash, where I can buy it deep enough and do a BRRRR, like a fix and flip, and then refinance. Yeah. And then, do you know Lior?
Who is that?
So they have a gentleman here that's he's not too like active in the community, but he's been doing short-term rentals here in Vegas for a long time, and he's got a huge portfolio that he manages as well as owns, and he's just continually growing, and he crushes. Now he flies under the radar because he, out here in Vegas for short-term, you need permits, but he's found a way. I'm not sure exactly what it is, and he hasn't disclosed it fully. And I don't care to know as long as he could do it for me. But
right.
I don't care how you're doing it, bro. Let's just do it.
Right. Exactly. There's got to be a way.
Yeah, absolutely. He's found a way to kind of like skate past whatever, and of course, there's still some risk there, but he's pulling in such high returns that it's worth it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's kind of like Pace when he talks about the HOAs. Like, I know a lot of us don't like buying in HOAs, and if you make the tenant a 0.01% owner, and just finding ways around it to make things work. It's sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
That's kind of like what Pad Split does.
Yeah.
Every one of the persons on Pad Split, they're a percent owner of they sign their ownership, so they're members, they're not tenants.
Okay. I didn't know that. I'm not too knowledgeable on Pad Split. I definitely I'm intrigued by it, but I just have heard so many different things about how cities are kind of starting to crack down on it. Kind of like when Airbnb came in, right? And all the cities started going, oh no, you can't do Airbnb now. So I decided to stay back for a while and just see how that panned out. But I know people that have done awesome with it, like Alexis Jimenez. Right. He's killing it.
Who's that?
Alexis. He's also in Owners Club. He has a ton of them. I think they're in Atlanta, and he's done a really good job.
I hear Atlanta's a hot market. We haven't dabbled in Atlanta, so hot market for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, lots of growth. I think the key really is if you can be like near any city
Yeah.
They're growing, you know.
Of course, of course. And you know what? You think it's crazy how, these cities are cracking down on stuff like that, considering the housing shortage, quote
Yeah.
unquote shortage, and affordable housing. Like, I understand, you don't want to bring trash in a neighborhood, like nice neighborhoods. You don't want to chop, but there's got to be some, workaround, I guess. Or
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I can understand, I guess, some regulation to where like housing, people are living sanitarily and in, good conditions. But other than that, if you're an owner of a home, I think it's pretty crazy when a government can tell you what you can and can't do with it.
yeah,
But,
good old government.
yeah.
Well, anyway, let's not waste too much time on that. I want to know. I want to talk about you a little bit. What you got going on? I mean, when we met, you were doing a little bit of gator lending. I remember. You shot me down. You're like, not a good deal.
all out of love though. All like, hey, not this one, but next one.
Totally kidding. I don't even remember what it was, but yeah. So you started there, and then you've kind of like, talking to you a few times since then. I know that you're like definitely stacked on that and you're doing a lot, I think, bigger and kind of different things now. It's still lending, but more on I would say, if you had to call it anything, like corporate lending rather than just your, here and there gator deal.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you got going on there.
Yeah. So I want to preface it with, lending on real estate, I think is great. But being, I'm on both sides of it, right? I've been the borrower where I want a private money lender to come in and loan me money so I can get into a deal with no money. And that's a wonderful way to start. I'm still all for that, but being on the private money lender side, sometimes that can get risky. Especially in today's market where numbers, you're not making, it's rare that you're going to see a rental cash flow $1,000 a month unless it is, a short term like pad split or something like that. And you've got bigger numbers to work with. But, fix and flips, it's a lot of what ifs. And I say that in a sense of there are definitely people out there that know what they're doing and, they have a team that they work with, but being a newer lender that was coming in and I was making connections, I was starting to have those deals. Like I had probably 4 or 5 deals that everything was wonderful. Everything went by the books. Everything went as like I would have hoped and prayed for in the deal.
Yeah.
And then I got my first, I don't want to say bad deal, but it just headache came from it where I had to kind of like hunt the borrower down. They weren't getting back to me. The buyer on the home, the person backed out last minute, and just all these different things that kind of come into play when you do have these creative deals, right? Like I think creative deals are awesome, but there's so many moving parts that if it does go wrong, it can go wrong pretty quick. So that kind of took me into working with Everbridge. So I was working with Everbridge and capital raising for them. And what that looks like is you essentially come in as a private money lender and you are a co-lender. So Everbridge lends as a whole, and then you kind of like come in this bubble with them and they lend out the whole funds to a business acquisition. But in doing that, their security is like 99% guaranteed compared to like a real estate deal, right? Because they get the underwritten approval from the exit SBA lender. So when you come in as a lender, they already have that pre-approval letter going, hey, this is our exit. They won't fund the deal unless they have that.
Hold up a second. Back up a little bit. These guys are lending on business acquisition. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yep, business. So that's kind of what led me to like my big shift is I'm still raising capital. And I still raise capital for real estate deals too. Like I have wholesalers that they come to me and maybe I don't have the liquidity to lend on the deal. And I can go to friends that I know that do and still capital raise and connect there. But the business acquisition side and the security that came from what Everbridge kind of showed me on being a co-lender with them, I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. Like, as a private money lender that has dealt with some of those headaches and pains that come from lending on real estate deals, you don't have that in the co-lending space with them, because they're doing all the underwriting. They have a team of, it's 5 people, and they basically have a board before they approve anything on lending. So they sit down and they throw out all the reasons why they shouldn't fund the deal. And then they just go back and forth. And if it is not a unanimous decision that everybody agrees that the deal needs to be funded, they don't fund. And there's SEC filings and all these things that go into it as far as security, that it just, me as a private money lender, I was like, this is great. Now, granted, you give a little bit with the return, and that's kind of been a little bit of the pushback that I've seen when I've had friends and things that I've talked to about coming in and being co-lenders. They're like, well, I was a Gator and I was getting 20-30% on my money.
Not realistic, guy.
Yeah, it's like, but also, were you really, like, there may have been a unicorn deal. Like, I've had unicorn deals where you get 20% on your money and everything's great, nothing goes wrong, you get everything back on time. Like, that happens, but the percentage that happens over, maybe they offer you 15 to 20%, but then the deal runs late and the numbers don't work out, and then they come back to you and you have to renegotiate. And then as the private money lender, it's kind of dumb for you to not renegotiate and work with them, because you are also trying to create a relationship and you also don't want the deal to fail. So it just, the co-lending space under the business acquisitions, for me, it just was like, well, I think I would rather take a little bit less on a return and know that the security's there, and know that I'm not going to have to go through all this crazy headache of, like, I personally don't like underwriting. I can do it, but that's just it's not my thing.
Right.
They do all that for you. So that kind of got me more into the business acquisition side, where I was like, I'm seeing all these business acquisitions and the numbers are a lot larger than on a single family home.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So, like, are they business acquisition? You mentioned SBA loans. So I know SBA loan will give you like 90%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so are they coming in with
depends on the numbers, but
Are they coming in with the 10%? Is that the deal?
Yeah, you're talking about the borrower?
No, I'm talking about Evergreen.
Oh, Everbridge. No, so they fund the whole deal. And then SBA is their refinance, essentially. So they fund, so where Everbridge really comes into play is, like, say you want to go purchase a business. It has to be a pre-existing business, not a startup.
Right.
And I believe their threshold is at least 3 years, because they basically uphold anything that the SBA says they need. That's what Everbridge says they need, because that's how they exit.
Right. Makes sense.
So I want to say it's 3 years that you have to be, that the business has to be open and running. So say you find, we'll go with a boring business. Say you find a window company that you want to acquire because the numbers are really good. That business has to be open for at least 3 years, and you would go and negotiate all your terms with the seller. And let's say the seller's like, yeah, I want to be out in 90 days. SBA is not going to be able to do 90 days.
Yeah. Well, they're like 6 months, huh?
Yeah, at least 6 months to a year. 6 months is ideal, but we also know, like, with the government and banks, things, they might tell you 6 months and then it might end up being 9.
Real quick, on these business acquisitions, like with Everbridge, are they, whenever, like, okay, so you have, let's say me, right? I have found this business. It's great. The numbers are fantastic. They want to sell. It's, and their sell price is really good. What's their underwriting process look for the individual?
So you, as like your personal financial?
Yeah. Like, are they worried about that? Like your past credit, like your background, all of that stuff. Does that
they do? Yep. So they pull, they pull your background. They pull like your personal financial statements, as far as like your taxes for the last 2 years, any criminal history. And really what their concern is there is more on like, from a private money lender perspective, can they bet on you as the borrower? So if you're somebody that has terrible credit, but everything else checks out, they could potentially still work with you. It's not that just because you have bad credit, you know, if everything else is good, the business numbers are good, that doesn't mark you out. But if you have terrible credit and you have a criminal background and, you know, just kind of all these things line up where they're like, I don't know about the integrity of this person. That's more why they pull that, because as a private money lender, you're essentially betting on that person. You're also betting on the business and you're betting on the past financials. But at the end of the day, if you're purchasing the business, you're going to be the one, whether you're hiring an operator, but you're essentially the one in charge of where that business goes, up or down. Right. So that's really why they pull all those things. So they do. You would get security on all the business assets, personal assets. So it just, to me, especially because of the underwriting that they do, and there's just so much more security there, because if you're going to purchase a business that's cash flowing and it has assets and all the numbers are checking out and they're underwriting as a private money lender, there's just a lot more cushion there. Like if things did go wrong.
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like a DSCR where they go off of the performance of the asset rather than the person. Right. But I mean, they go off the person a little bit still. They want to have, you know, a decent credit score and whatnot. But so business acquisition. So like, what type of businesses are you seeing that are more common, or, you know, I know you're going through a business acquisition. What's that look like?
Yep. So for me, boring businesses all the way. You know, I'm not one that really wants to get into like a startup or anything like that. I just want to bet on all the things that has the financial statements to back it. So my partner and I,
toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in COVID. My business partner and I was actually just kind of a coincidental meet. So I have a good friend, Emily, that's a TC. And I was talking to her. I was like, you know, I really think I want to get into business acquisitions. I like real estate. I'll never stop doing real estate. But, you know, until I get into multifamily, the numbers just really aren't there. Like, I'm looking for cash flow. I'm not really at the point to where, you know, I can just buy a loss right now. So she told me to reach out to this gentleman, Casey, and she was like, I really think you guys would get along. He's also in sub 2, Casey Bluford, and reached out. We had a call, and that was just kind of like all she wrote. We kept in touch almost every day, and we would just start sending each other businesses. So he's in sub 2 and then kind of pivoted to Cody Sanchez's group.
Oh, yeah.
And
I believe it's more laser focused, huh?
What was that?
It's more laser focused.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he's also, I want to say he's also in Carl Allen's group, which is another
that's a really good one. Protege or something.
Yeah. So we kind of like were the yin to the yang. Like, I had things that maybe he didn't really want to focus on and vice versa. And I highly recommend that. Like, he is definitely he likes doing the spreadsheets and the running the numbers, and still does that now in our business. And I'm doing like team management and things like that I've come up doing for my dad's business. So it's been really cool because it's things that we both have the muscles for. And then we just kind of share the knowledge, and we'll do Zoom calls and he'll show me all his things. And I'm like, okay, great. Makes sense. But like, I'll leave that one to you.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really cool to have a great partner. I think anybody that I've talked to, if you were going to do a business acquisition, especially if you were looking to scale, have a business partner, but don't just willy-nilly pick your business partner. Make sure it's somebody that you have vetted. Like, my brother is in it's some Christian entrepreneur group, and I was asking him what his suggestions were, and he put it in their group, and they were going back and forth, and they sent me this questionnaire that was like 50 questions, and it's basically like all your worst case scenario things. And he's like, it's so much better to have those conversations now when you're in the honeymoon phase of your business relationship. That way, when those things do come up, if you make it past that, then you've already come up with the answer and you can handle it better. So we did. We went through all the what ifs and no's and yeses and what do you want and what do I want, and made sure that all aligned. So yeah, I just have to really shout him out, and having a partner in a business position, I think, is key. So
right on. Love that. Yeah, that's definitely something that I think in the past I faltered on. It's reciprocal too. I'm sure there's things that the other person wouldn't have picked me as a partner either. But over the course of my investing and entrepreneurship, I've had several partners, some good, some bad. And, you learn that it's very important, and that's dope that y'all have a whole questionnaire.
Yeah.
You should put that out in sub too.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share it, because it really is. It's basically my brother's friend was like, act like you're dating this person, because if you're going to get into, especially if you're owning a business together, it's like a marriage. You need to make sure that you guys are aligned with everything that you want. Do you want to sell in 10 years and he wants to hold on to it forever, or he wants to sell in 2? You need to just have all those hard conversations now. What happens if you need more money and you can't get it, and just all the things that, when you're looking at businesses that are making money, you don't want to think about all the bad things that could potentially happen.
Right.
But you have to.
It's really good to have those answers ahead of time, and at least have options as to what you would do or want to do or could do. And then you could pivot from there.
Exactly.
Because it sucks to come across a problem, especially when it's relating to a lot of money, and you don't have an answer, you don't know how to fix it, where to go, what to do.
Yep.
It could be extremely stressful. Been there before.
Yep.
So what type of, you said you were looking at boring businesses. What is your boring business?
Really, I'll look at any boring business that's cash flowing. Like this one is a FedEx contract. So we purchased zip codes. So
that's why we have the FedEx truck on your thumbnail.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you purchase zip codes, so FedEx is all contractor based. Okay. So you come in and you buy a contract based off of your zip codes, and then you get paid off of volume. So myself and Casey, are a contractor, and then we have a team of drivers, and we own the trucks, and the drivers are hired by us as the contractor, and then they go out and deliver the packages every day.
Right on. So you already bought it?
Yeah. So we haven't closed on funding. We're actually using Everbridge to do the funding, which is really cool. So I've capital raised for them, but then I've also borrowing from them. Mm-hmm. So we should be closing in about 60 days. And then from there, the SBA will refinance out. So we essentially didn't put any money down. I raised money, and I have a good friend, Carolina, actually, who is also in Owners Club. I don't know if you got a chance to meet her, Carolina Hernandez.
Not sure.
She's the private money lender on the deal. So she put our down payment on, or down. And
with Everbridge, what is the down requirement? 10%, 15%?
It's typically 10%.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So we've just been operating the business, the hiring and the firing, and all the team management tweaks. And there's been a lot of team things that we've had to address, and that's, I think, the biggest thing in a business acquisition is, when you're in business, people are always the most, they're just, from one person to another, it's very different, right? So you have to understand that maybe you can't approach this person the same way that you can approach this person. And we've got a team of 25 drivers. Mm-hmm. So it's, a mix of personalities and backgrounds and cultures and ages and gender and, so all these different things. So you just kind of tweaking your team management skills, and then also coming in from, they were on a previous team, right? So shifting them to understand that the expectations have now changed, and that we're optimizing it because it wasn't necessarily optimal. It was running, but there were a lot of things that we had to come in and change. I don't want to down anything, but just everything was kind of pieced together with them. And I think there were some attitude things that needed to be addressed. And so we just kind of came in and had to go, look, we're here to help you. You got to help us help you kind of thing. But at the same time, there's going to be a leeway as far as what we'll accept in the beginning. But at the end of the day, you got to kind of get with the program. And not, we're only asking you to do the things that should be done in your position.
People get in that groove of not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, there are a lot of people.
They get all bent out of shape when you ask them to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they think they can just do whatever they want and still get a check no matter what. And it's like, well, it doesn't really work that way.
Funny. So the business is local, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so it's here in the DFW area. So it's been fun, and I like it because I can go in there, and I do. I go in there typically twice a week. I don't have to, but it's just one of those things where, especially with us being in the early stages, my dad always said, because my dad's a business owner too, my dad always said, when the cat's away, the mice will play. And, coming in and having all these new expectations and things that we're setting in place, I feel like it's one of those things where I kind of need to be there a little bit more than what I will need to be maybe later on. And same with Casey. He usually comes in once or twice a week, and we try to stagger just so that way we're essentially in there 4 times a week, and it kind of keeps them on their toes because they don't know what day we're coming in. And, it's been fun. And it really is. It's a good group of people. It's just, I think, a lot of change and,
That's cool, man. I'm excited for you. That's awesome to hear.
Thanks.
You've definitely taken the Owners Club to its level that it's supposed to.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely on my thing. I'm like, man, I cannot get out of this and not own something. I can't have leveled up by the time I show back up at Squat Up next year. So I would love to buy another one. Him and I have talked about buying more routes just because it's, now that we understand the business, it's we feel like it's
more routes, like more zip codes,
plug and play thing. Yeah. And there's a ton for sale. Arizona actually has quite a few for sale. You can go on like BizBuy. Is it BizBuy Sell? There's a couple different websites that we were going on and just kind of check in and creating relationships with different brokers that essentially bring the deals to you. And then you just kind of weed through them. But it did not take us long from the time that we connected and the time that we purchased was probably 6 months, if that. I think if you just set your mind to it and you're like, hey, I'm buying a business, know how to underwrite, and you can't believe everything.
That was the question I had too. And then also, like, the underwriting is definitely important. I mean, it's one of the things, like the main things that you need right from the beginning to even know if it's a good deal. But what's that underwriting look like? You don't have to go into super detail, but compared to, like, let's say small multifamily or, an STR, because that's where I'm like really good at is real estate underwriting. Like, I do all the underwriting for my real estate deals.
Yeah. So we used, we would dig into the financials, obviously, but the financials, you kind of have to take it for what it is. It's, unfortunately, I'm not saying any business is doing this, but, you can play with numbers and things can get tweaked.
Yeah.
So EBITDA, is something that you are going to look at. So it's going to be, I forget it's earnings before interest, depreciation, and
taxes,
amortization. Yeah. And then we had different spreadsheets that we would just run the numbers through. Like Casey had one from Carl Allen's group. Cody Sanchez has one. And we would just kind of break it down and then get on a call with a seller and ask them a bunch of different questions. What the day-to-day looks like. For us, it was really important to not be full-time operators.
Yeah.
So we wanted to know like what that what it currently looked like. Were we going to have to come in and be full-time operators and then start to hire out? Fortunately, he already had a good manager in place. So it was one of those things where we just kind of had to teach her how to do some of the things we were looking to do. But as far as the daily operation, she was already doing a pretty good job at that. And she's been a lifesaver. But yeah, I mean, just lots of conversations and then running the numbers through different spreadsheets that we had. Really just,
So how did you decide on the FedEx? You say you're looking at born businesses. Do you go on this website and just type in born businesses? How are you finding these deals? Because going from real estate, and then your background is also with your dad's company, right? It's a glass company.
Yeah, so it's a glass company, so windows and door replacements.
Right. So
Yep.
Totally different from buying routes from FedEx.
Very different. Yeah. And I would say the team management at least came into place. So that was really nice to have that experience. But I mean, really, it was just one of those things where the opportunity came to us as far as like why we chose the FedEx route. We had gone back and forth on a plumbing business, another window company, actually. There was a window company where the seller was almost like begging us to buy the company. We got on a call, and he really liked that I had the experience with my dad's company, and he was an older gentleman, again, just trying to retire. And for him, he was a small business, so his customers were important to him, and he had really built those relationships over the years. And it was actually in Virginia. So my dad's business is in Maryland.
Oh, wow.
So he just was like, we really connected on the phone, and he was like really trying to get us to purchase it, but the numbers just didn't work, and he wanted too much for it. And we just kind of left it at like, hey, if you ever decide to budge on your numbers, let us know. So that ended up never coming back around, at least not yet. And then, we just kind of kept going back and forth. And then I think Casey had a conversation with somebody about a FedEx route, one of the brokers. And then my boyfriend, actually, his best friend is a FedEx contractor. And, I had heard him talk about it quite a bit and always kind of wondered about it, but I was never really thinking like, oh, maybe that's a business I should buy into.
Right.
And then Casey called me one day, and he's like, hey, have you ever thought about FedEx? Like, what do you think about that? I'm like, hey, if the numbers work, like, I'm open to it. I don't care. It's a logistics company. People are, wanting to stay home and order things now. So I would imagine over time, it's just going to continue to grow.
Especially if we have another COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And, people are just growing. There's more and more people. So, it just kind of started there. And then we started looking more into the routes and created a relationship with a broker who brought us this one. And it just kind of, just started to unravel itself. We had more and more calls, and it just clicked. So
you keep saying broker. So did you find the broker on like Biz Buy Sell, or where do you find these? Okay.
Yep. So typically the businesses are going to be sold through a broker. You'll find that most businesses that are being sold are probably like your older generation, and they don't want to deal with like the going out and hunting for for buyers. So they'll go to a broker, and then the broker goes on these websites and posts them. It's essentially kind of like a realtor in the MLS, just a different, same kind of setup, I guess. But they go to the broker and they just say, hey, I want to sell my business. And then the broker kind of will do a lot of like the beginning back and forth. So it lightens the seller's load in the sense that the seller will give all their things to that broker. And then all the beginning conversations, where I'm sure brokers get a ton of people that are like, hey, I'm interested, and then nothing. Or, they'll have like one conversation and then the person never gets back with them. So I think it weeds people out from the seller having to deal with the majority of like the people that are just tire kickers.
Yeah.
And as the broker starts to weed through those people and finds people that are actually interested, then they'll introduce you to the seller, and then you start doing seller calls and start to build that rapport. And the great thing I really like about business acquisitions is it's a lot more likely to go creative. A lot more businesses are open
That was
to
my next
they're
question.
knowing that you're not going to come to the table with $1 million to $2 million.
Right. So is there anything about your acquisition creative?
Yes. Yep. So we have a seller finance note. And then, like I said, I also raised money for the down payment.
Yeah.
And then partial is SBA.
Oh, how much is the SBA?
70% is SBA, 30% is the seller finance.
Oh, okay.
And then, so the cool thing is he has other contracts at a different location that we have opened the conversation of like, hey, we'll purchase this contract because he didn't want to sell it all yet. He wanted to kind of piece it up. We'll purchase this one. And then, when you decide you're ready to sell your next one, please let us know. And he's been really great. The seller's we've created a really good rapport with him.
So you got private money for 10%, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to do a deal breakdown a little bit.
Yep.
And the seller's doing 30, and then you got 70 on the
SBA.
SBA. Now, when the SBA comes in, is the SBA going to cover the 10 and the other portion plus all the fees and everything?
Covers everything.
So we have, now tell me this, what is your like percentage of, well, you have an infinite cash on cash return, but I was going to do a cash on cash return analysis, but it's infinite because you're bringing $0.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit different. And so the thing about FedEx is it is going to vary by the month because it's based off of volume. So like you'll have peak season. So peak season, which we actually held off on taking over till after peak season because we were like, we don't want to acquire this in the busiest season of the year. And, we're learning the business.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, so the great thing about working with Everbridge is they've got their fees, but then we also have them add in working capital. So in that working capital, we'll also be able to take a seller pay, or sorry, a buyer's pay, like a chunk. Kind of like how Pace does when he acquires single family homes, and he'll pay.
Yeah, you gotta get paid. You gotta get paid to do the deal.
So that's going to be really cool when we close on funding. Is like, hey, we're also getting paid because we did all the work behind acquiring the deal.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. You absolutely have zero money out of your pocket. Your PML is going to be happy. Everbridge will be happy. Y'all now have a cash flowing business. Now, doing your numbers, is there, even on low season, is there ever, with the expenses, is there ever negative cash flow in low season?
No. I mean, we dug into all the financials. He never had any negative. Granted, we've only taken over since January, but no.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some where you're like just breaking even, but hey, for me, if you're breaking even for a month, because it's a slower season, I'll take it. Because any business, right? You're going to have slower months versus busier months, but as long as
absolutely,
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. And what's great about your business is it's, dependent on people ordering online, and that's never stopping. Like that's just more and more and more and more. Question about that FedEx. Does Amazon, they don't really go through FedEx too much, do they?
So Amazon doesn't go through FedEx. Like I don't know a whole lot about Amazon. I know it's like similarly structured. But I do know it's a little bit different. I know they're shipping smaller packages, and we actually get a lot of drivers from Amazon that will also come to FedEx. But to be honest, I'm not 100% sure on like how their contracts and all that stuff is set up.
Right.
But I believe that they do the majority of their own shipping out of Amazon, and I don't think they use FedEx to my knowledge, at least.
I think they even have like similar situations like you have. Right,
Yeah.
what you're doing right here, where they
Yeah.
have contractors that own their trucks and they have to go through, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
they
almost positive it's pretty
yeah.
similar as far as the setup.
Right on. Well, freaking
Yeah.
hey, dude, that's super cool. I'm super excited for you.
Yeah, I
I'm
appreciate you
wondering
letting me share it on here.
when are you supposed to close?
So we're supposed to close in about 60 days. So we're what? March, April, May. So I'd say like middle of May is when we will
Okay,
close with Everbridge. And then typically it's 90 to 180 days for SBA to refinance.
got it.
Yeah.
So guys, I want y'all to pay attention. I want to like map out your timeline because you joined Gator, right?
I did.
Okay, and
Yep.
then you joined Sub 2.
So no, I never joined Sub 2. So
Okay, you just joined Owners Club. Okay.
I joined Gator because I was on a safari in Africa when I joined Gator.
That picture that's on your Facebook
Yep.
right now.
Yep, that was August of 24. No, August of 23. Yeah. August of 23, I joined Gator. And then Squad Up was what? March of 24.
Yep. March or April?
Yeah, March or April of 24. And that's when I joined Owners Club. And then here we are in 25.
Right on. So guys, Miss Lauryn right here, she joined Gators Club or Gators Method, whatever. The Gator Tribe. I'm part of it too. To lend money, right? And then she lent money. She did some deals, and then she went to an event that Pace had, which was probably the best event that I've ever been as it pertains to anything networking, real estate. Like you go to all these other real estate like summits and conferences and like Wealthy Investor and like it. The first one that Pace had was the best one I've ever been to, and it was like super live. Well, there she joined Owners Club, which is a phenomenal group of people and with a great leader that gives us the skills and just really, there's a lot of mindset that goes into being an owner and things that you just don't think about, right? And just the whole thing that Owners Club is that brings to, just all in one package that stuff you don't think about, especially like on the social media side and, just different areas of what you already are doing. It just kind of brings it to light. And not only that, but it gives you like the blueprint of what to do in these different scenarios and different areas of your business and building yourself up and building your brand. But she went from the Gator method. What I'm getting at is, her being a part of the community has just propelled her entrepreneur career. And now she's going to be owning a FedEx delivery company, which sounds amazing in itself. And I wish her all the luck. But, at the beginning of this, we talked about the greatness of Sub 2 and just the whole community that Pace has created. And I believe that, it builds people like you. It creates people like you. I mean, you already had a background in, with your dad's business and stuff, but you got into real estate, you got into Gator, and then you've got into lending for a business acquisition. Now you're like, well, if I'm lending, if I'm was raising capital for other people, why can't I just raise a capital for myself? So
Yep.
it snowballed into that, and I'm super excited to hear your journey and what you got going on, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. And
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here. It definitely changed the trajectory of my life for sure. Not that I was heading anywhere bad, but just, the normal. I would have never thought 2 years ago that I would be buying a business. I'm 29, and that just was not, I figured I would take over my dad's business, which that's still the plan. But now I'm more like, okay, I want to buy my dad's business from him, so that way he can retire, because he's kind of got that like old school mindset. So I'm like, now I can position myself to purchase the business from my dad so he can retire and go live his life, and then just keep skipping from there. But yeah, it was always just kind of like, yeah, I'll take over my dad's business one day and I'll live a good life. And And again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it definitely being in this community has changed the way that I look at things. And I know Pace would still probably yell at me and be like, think bigger, think bigger.
Right. Yeah. Think bigger.
Being around this community and so many amazing people and seeing everybody leveling up all the time, it is very motivating and reassuring that anybody can do it. You just have to put the time in.
And it's super impressive. I see people talk to people a lot, and they're like, yeah, I've been doing this for like 8 months and I've, acquired, up team number of properties, or I've got this going on. I'm like, wow, that's super impressive. Yeah. Like they just took it and ran with it and didn't even look back, and then just crushing the game. So
it's all what you make it.
Love that. Yeah. Well, Miss Lauryn, thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. Hopefully one day I'll be number 20.
Yeah, I'll have to have you on mine next. But yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you for having me again. And I will see you. If we don't talk before Squat Up, I'll see you there.
Definitely will see you there. All righty.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.